Hello, strugglers. This is likely to be a jumbled, rambly mess, so I apologize in advance. So what's the deal with cartoons? I'm not an expert in animation or children's programming or really anything. Actually, that's not true. I am an expert on a ripstick. All right, I shred for real. But I do have opinions about stuff. Is that okay? Am I still allowed to have opinions on stuff? Is it an opinion I agree with? Yeah. I'll allow it. I've got all kinds of opinions, like marshmallows are supposed to be lightly toasted, and if you set them on fire, you're a lazy lunatic. Also, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but I don't like the look of bare wrists. I don't really know what that one's all about, but it is my opinion. And most importantly, I feel like cartoons have been getting really friggin' ugly lately. Remember Spongebob? He's the one that lives in a pineapple under the sea. Without a doubt, one of the most recognizable cartoons ever created. Look at this little guy. Yep, that's SpongeBob. At least it was. I feel sick to my stomach that I have to show you this, but it simply must be done. What in God's name is this? Look how they massacred my boy. Is this gameplay footage from 2003's Battle for Bikini Bottom on the Nintendo GameCube? No? Well, then I'd like to speak to my lawyer. It's like there was a group of Nickelodeon execs sitting around a big evil boardroom table asking, how can we take this vibrant, expressive, beloved character and suck the life out of him in the most violent way possible? SpongeBob has gone through a bunch of visual and stylistic changes throughout the years. Nerdstalgic did a great video about that. But at its core, season 1 had kind of duller colors. Great name for a band, by the way, because it was completely done by hand, and that made it very expressive. Then when the animation methods changed, things got more saturated looking, but also started to feel a little bit more stiff. And then when Kamp Koral came around in 2021, they said, F it. Give them Revenge of the Flying Dutchman cutscenes. That's what they deserve. And just because I know that it'll get brought up, Steven Hillenburg was the original creator of SpongeBob, and he passed away in 2018. Almost exactly 3 years later, Kamp Koral aired. I've seen some conflicting things on the internet about how Steven Hillenburg felt about spin-offs of SpongeBob. A lot of places seem to think he was totally against it, and then there are some that say he was indifferent to the idea of it. And then one of his old colleagues had said, yeah, he's definitely, this is not something he'd be okay with. Really, the only actual quote that I could find anywhere from Steven himself was that he didn't think that a spin-off of a different character other than SpongeBob could really work that well. That's at least how I interpret this quote. Who knows? This is what's so annoying about the internet. I was looking at this article and, down here it says, here it is. Oh, Steven Hillenburg, known for vehemently opposing the creation of any spin-off series. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Clicked on it. Brings me to this article. Now, where exactly does it say that he vehemently opposes it? Well, they say somebody on Reddit was looking for evidence of that. This is what they came up with, the 2009 interview. Let's click on that. And there it is. That's the, this is the quote where he, vehemently opposes spin-offs. Seems pretty casual about it, in my opinion. So unless there's something that I'm missing, which there very likely could be, I don't know very much about anything other than ripsticking. It seems like he wouldn't have inherently disliked Kamp Koral because it was a spin-off, like a lot of people are implying. I do think he may have disliked it because it's a visual abomination, subjectively, of course. And according to the reviews, it's not just that. There's like a bunch of continuity errors with the original show. Like how Mr. Krabs and Mrs. Puff originally met in that episode when he was having SpongeBob go buy her a bunch of gifts or whatever. But apparently, they already knew each other many years prior, and they just forgot about that. And another thing, Sandy was born and raised in Texas, right? She made her way to Bikini Bottom as an adult. No, actually, she was in Bikini Bottom and met SpongeBob as a child. But there was some kind of time travel thing involved. Kind of. Not really. Shut the heck up. Stop asking questions about that. Something about all this just reeks of corporate greed. I can smell it from here. Remember Rugrats? They're the rats that live in a rug, or no, wait, what? Oh, they're the babies that went to Paris that one time. Ooey Gooey World? You ever heard of it?
Isn't this neat, Chucky? I don't know. There's something kind of weird about a guy in a ponytail and a dress.
Well, that TV show started in 1991, and I'm sure you thought to yourself, they've definitely stopped making it by now. Oh, how I wish you were correct. They even had another show where they were a little bit older, and the theme song for that was a certified slap-a-rooney. But it has recently come to my attention that they're back to being babies, And it's worse than I could have ever imagined. Oh, sweet Jesus, no. No, this ain't right. You know how Cocomelon showed up one day out of nowhere and started frying kids' brain cells left and right? Is that the new standard? Friggin' Cocomelon? We are regressing as a society. Here's the thing that sucks. I know that this stuff is so much cheaper and easier to make than the old stuff. And I wouldn't necessarily say that's the reason that they started doing this new style, but it's one of them. It's gotta be one of them. This is just faster and easier for a studio to produce in most cases. But at what cost? And this isn't me saying that 2D animation is better than 3D animation. I have no opinion on that whatsoever. It's me saying that this is better than this, subjectively, of course. And it's also not me saying that 3D animation is always easier to make than 2D animation. Making something that looks good takes time and talent no matter what you're doing. I don't think this looks good. You know what the kids like? 2004's Jimmy Neutron Attack of the Twonkies video game for the Nintendo GameCube. Let's give them more of that. And not only did they downgrade the way that everything looks, subjectively, of course, but I watched some of the clips from the new Rugrats show, and they completely changed the character of Grandpa Lou. His whole thing was that he was this grumpy old war vet who said crazy shit.
Why do you always lose your keys, dagnabbit?
Why do you always talk like a prospector when you're aggravated, conflabbit?
But in the new version, they did the complete opposite and made him this tie-dye wearing, ponytail sporting, soft-spoken hippie.
50 years of protests and rallies, and I'm still bringing my A game to my favorite annual event. I gotta get my guitar, my sage stick, and my rainbow sleeping bag.
And I can hear the arguments already. Of course they did that. His original version was problematic and offensive, and he makes me sick. Okay, if that's how you really feel, why didn't they just make him less like that? But it's weird to fundamentally change the character with a complete 180.
Breathe in Mother Nature's healing scent, and breathe out whatever toxic energy no longer serves.
The grandpa change in Rugrats is as bizarre as if they would have taken Angelica and made her this sweet little angel character that never did anything bad. Just the total opposite of what she used to be. Why do that? Or if on Spongebob, all of a sudden they made Mr. Krabs this giving, charitable guy all the time.
Dagnabbit, Miriam, I moved out to get some peace, not to turn into a hippie.
How could you do this to our grandpa? You should be ashamed of yourselves. But you know what? I shouldn't care. Why would I care? I'm not watching Rugrats, man. I'm not watching Kamp Koral. I'm not watching that freaking live-action Fairly Odd Parents reboot.
Something loves you so much that it gets mad and bites butts whenever anyone gets near it.
This is upsetting, to be sure. But I'm not gonna get all worked up about it. I'm an adult, I grew up with this stuff. I am probably gonna be a little bit irritated by them changing things from my childhood. Things change, I'm not watching these shows anymore. They are not a part of my life in any way. What, am I gonna get angry about them changing a character in a show that I have no intention of watching anyway? Am I gonna demand they make the show the way I would watch it in a hypothetical universe where I was paying attention to this stuff? Am I gonna cry about it? Again? No. All right, damn it. I do have a few things I want to say about that Fairly Odd Parents show. You know what was cool about the original Fairly Odd Parents as a kid? The whimsy. The way they could make any of those crazy wishes that Timmy had into a reality. You can essentially do anything with animation. Turning this show specifically into a live-action sitcom is maybe the worst idea I've ever heard. Where's the whimsy?
Why are you pretending to be teens?
We need to make a viral click-clock dance video to save our ballroom studio. If we can make a viral video of an original click-clock dance, then we'll become internet famous and people will sign up.
Booyah!
The fairies are on screen for like 45 seconds total per episode. And it looks terribly awkward, by the way. Subjectively, of course. Did Nickelodeon learn nothing after the lampooning they got for that last Fairly Odd Parents live-action thing they tried to do? This ain't right. And I'm sure this show has a budget of like $19. But in that case, why not just make something that you can actually execute? Why not just make a crappy sitcom with a different premise that doesn't overpromise and underdeliver? Oh, it's that corporate greed again, isn't it? Probably, yeah. Okay. And still, there's a part of me that wants to be fair. I do not watch cartoons. I watch Survivor and I watch the dang stocks, baby. But I used to watch cartoons when I was a kid, and I feel like I got pretty dang lucky with the options that were available to me at that time. There was a ton of variety. Networks were a little bit more willing to take risks and try new things than they are now. They weren't all hemorrhaging money and desperately clinging on to their successes from the past. These corporations are having to compete with the internet now more than ever. Like maybe Charlie the Unicorn and Salad Fingers had a little bit of my attention when I was younger, but I was still flipping back and forth between Nick and Disney as my main source of entertainment. Now you can just hand a kid an iPad with Johnny and Baby Shark on loop, and they'll stare at it without blinking for 9 hours straight. So I guess the only option for these companies is to make things cheaper and easier to make, until all that's left is a freaking AI-generated Peppa Pig picture on a slideshow to keep kids entertained. I don't know. Do I really care about these corporations succeeding? I don't think this is gonna keep me up at night. I don't want people to lose their jobs. I'm sure the animators that are working on these shows would much rather be doing bigger and better things, but you know, a job's a job. So I don't know. This is such a weird subject. I do want to give a huge shout out to Blue's Clues though. Wow. The core elements of the show from when I was a kid are still largely the same today. Blue herself has actually been visibly improved in my opinion too. Everything else is getting worse. Blue, look at all that fur. Look at Blue, what a cutie. Oh, don't you just want to give her a little pet? And this guy, I don't even know his name. It was Steve and what was the other guy? Joe? I wish I should look this guy's name up because he's a freaking rock star. So Blue's Clues, you're crushing it. Nickelodeon too though, right? They're all Nickelodeon. Why is Blue's Clues better than ever and Rugrats, what happened? What's going on, Nickelodeon? Anyway, yeah, you know how I said it was gonna be a jumbled mess? I didn't lie, did I?
Later that same evening.
I felt like I wanted to use this as a moment to show a little bit of growth because I'm kind of collecting footage for the edit of the video, and I've been watching some of this show and kind of getting used to the way it looks. I kind of like the way it looks. Something about this is charming and it's growing on me. I don't take back what I said earlier, but seeing it through a different lens now is kind of interesting. I still hate the way the Rugrats look though, so. And thus ends the ramblings of a madman about cartoons that he doesn't even watch. Thank you for joining me. I've got a video coming out on my second channel sometime soon. It was gonna be a main channel thing, but then it kind of derailed. You'll see why, I'll explain it in that video, but it's a pretty big project. If you wanna see that, subscribe to my second channel. Thank you again to Scentbird for sponsoring this video. Their links will be in the description. If you wanna get some Struggler merch, that link is also in the description. I appreciate all the support. Thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, all that good stuff. Thank you to my patrons. You guys mean the world to me. That's all I got for you. I will talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.
All the